I am once again selling my soul to Satan and the entity that is known as Mort. Theorizer is keeping me in this metaphorical cage, and I can't get out until I watch the rest of these Mort Theories. I have not made an intro like this since the first initial 6 Mort Theories, but I feel like something as crazy as this needs a crazy, super over-the-top intro. I am slowly losing my mind, and my brain is slowly oozing out of my ears because of part 21. I cannot... this is... I can't even form words correctly because of how insane this shit is. We are watching part 22 now, and my brain's gonna turn to mush after this entire thing. My brain is going to go to absolute fucking dead mode. Dad! Hi! Scary! Yeah. Oh. It's actually terrifying. Actually fucking terrifying. This is part 22! Yes, it is.
Is this the first video in this series that you're watching? Because
No.
if it is, this will make
No.
virtually no sense to you. For me to explain it simply, well, the side character Mort from the Madagascar movies, he's a lot more than meets the eye. They made a whole spin-off show where they ended up giving him one of the most complicated backstories you can possibly imagine, and it's quite shocking. They really took it as far as they possibly could for the simple reason of, why not? They probably got a kick out of it. So I decided to take on the daunting task of figuring out this most confusing, incomplete, random...
I've already seen everything in this series, so I don't need this recap, but for people that are not in tune with this series,
story, and the results...
Get ready for some insanity.
I learned far more than I wanted to, and no joke, it seems as though the creators of this spin-off show essentially made Mort some kind of Lovecraftian demon, who, for all intents and purposes, is, well, the Grim Reaper. I will link the playlist in the top right now because this is literally part 22. It's a wild ride, and half of it is straight up canon, believe it or not.
It is.
After solving Mort himself, I came to the realization that this spin-off show answers more than just Mort. It's so complicated,
so much of this is canon, and that's what is mind-boggling to me, because all of this stuff we know in all the King Julian Penguins and Madagascar and everything else. All of this stuff that he's going with, we know. We already know because it is legit in the movies. Nothing is like theory at this point. There may be a bit of it that's theory, but most of it, you can see it on the damn movies. It's not theory, it is canon, and that is what is so... that is what is making my brain melt out of my ears 10 million miles per hour per second per every single matter. No. I'm not gonna last it through part 22 and 23. My brain is going to turn to mush, and I'm going to fucking lose it. I'm going to have a goddamn Theorizer moment out here. I already had one in the last part, so fuck it.
Prove a truly wild concept that all of DreamWorks films take place in the same world.
Of course.
So I found a way to tie Mort into every film they've made, and then tie it into every theory I've made in the past on them, and things came to a head very recently in this Mort series when I determined that the gods who are out to stop Mort have recruited a secret organization of humans and granted them abilities. This organization seems to be based out of France, and their goal is to suppress and destroy animals.
And like you guys have told me, the musical cult that was in Shrek 1 with Reggie and stuff, One of you actually enlightened me in saying that the musical cult was actually the start of that feet organization. So, musical cult and feet are one and the same, and we could go so far to even say that the musical cult was the start of feet, which would make sense because musical cult suppressed things, the feet organization was suppressing things, that somewhere along the way they switched their goal to, instead of suppressing royals with like meme music, they're suppressing like these sentient talking animals into doing what they want. Really crazy, really insane, but it also makes sense, and I fear for my life because everything he's saying is making sense to me, and I don't know what that says about me as a person, but we'll get through this. We'll get through this. We'll see how this Mort Theory is evolving, though.
Anytime they show signs of intelligence or of rising up. These France-established exterminator-terminators, as I call them, or
yes.
feet for short, are in every film, all time periods, all countries, and they tend to have a serious focus on snails and red hair periods, all countries.
Wait, what is it? Yeah, France-established exterminator-terminators. There's the thing. It's feet. France established exterminator-terminators. Dwayne LaFontaine in Over the Hedge is an exterminator-terminator who is French. Dubois, exterminator-terminator who is French. Are you seeing the connection here? Are you seeing what we're putting down here? Are you picking up what we're putting down here? Shrek even has a lot of France stuff going on here. It's crazy. The B movie with the French lawyer, for God's sake. He is also a Terminator, exterminator, whatever the fuck.
Feet, for short, are in every film, all time periods, all countries, and they tend to have a serious focus on snails and red hair and a few other bizarrely random things, but most importantly, they utilize humorous music to their advantage, as it seems, in almost like a cult-like way. I kid you not. This is everywhere in the films. It's so weird, and
literally
I don't know why, but it is. I seriously still don't fully know why the patterns are there, but I've found a lot so far. If you've seen the previous video, part 21, then you know this. But what if I told you that it goes even deeper than that?
Let's hear it.
I told you that it goes so deep that I'm on the threshold of snapping because of my utter befuddlement at the fact that these patterns shouldn't logically exist, but here they are, doing it anyways. The amount of evidence I found, you are seconds away from one of the most insane videos you'll ever see.
Oh really? Because part 23 is there, and I'm assuming that part 23 is gonna be even more insane than this one, which means that I'm not fucking ready for this. So that face is very, very terrifying.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and I wanted more information on the musical side of this feat.
He's a theorist, and I'm fucking losing my mind over here.
Cult. I wanted to dig into them some more, and you might recall that initially this organization stemmed from the Shrek films. This cult contains all of the villains and half of the side characters: Reggie, Robin Hood, Fairy Godmother, Charming Merlin. But here's where things are about to take a turn. I thought it was kind of funny and dumb when I made that original musical meme cult theory. It's a legitimate theory, but still presented quite silly. But by now, though, you should understand just how real it is. And here comes an absolute flood of additional proof that this is a thing that exists. Let me introduce you to our next massive puzzle piece, the Pied Piper. In Shrek 4, Rumpelstiltskin hires an animal control bounty hunter who uses a flute to play music that supernaturally controls all of the animals around.
Same with every other character, like that we've seen. Is he French as well? I'm assuming that he's
assimilating them into a dancing cult. This is almost the perfect evidence. Like, really?
He's French.
A bounty hunter who magically controls animals with music? This is my exact theory.
Yeah, that was the exact
sound
thing.
Quite familiar to another self-proclaimed animal control officer, Chantal Dubois, who is a critical member.
I was gonna say that sounds very familiar to Dubois, who also shares the same, like, characteristics of the Pied Piper. She sings and it magically heals people, in French, mind you. She is animalistic in nature. She has the body of these multiple animals together. She's unstoppable. She's like this godly warrior that was sent by, like he said in the previous part, Sky Gods, sent to stop Alex and his crew.
The Feet organization, as we've established. I'll call the members footmen, because that's easier and already a word, so my script won't autocorrect, of course. Also, once again, we see that hairstyle that's a little similar to Reggie in Robin Hood and Farquaad.
Yeah.
And come to think of it, some of the villagers who were out to hunt Shrek at the beginning of the first film, which is also something new.
Very interesting.
But there's, so much more. I can feel it. I started rummaging around the other films, and then it hit me. How did I miss this before? You know how Duloc is an important stronghold for the organization because...
And it's also rooted in the French word.
Of Lord Farquaad. Remember that, right? Well, take a guess how Duloc introduces its visitors. It greets them with a song.
I never fucking thought to piece that one together. Every single time a new visitor in Duloc, which is a French, derived from a French town, by the way, mind you, they introduce, everyone knew, the fucking, a meme song! The fucking music! It's fucking music! It's always the French, and the music, and the exterminators, and the term, and the... Oh. My mind is breaking. Theorizer has me in this metaphorical dimensional cage and I can't fucking get out. Please, let me live.
That passive-aggressively tells them to stay in line. This is beat for beat a musical cult. If you somehow didn't believe me before, do you believe me now? We have more than enough evidence, really, but I'm not done. I want everything. So I watched through the films yet again and paid closer attention to Shrek's big moment in the third film. He's about to go on stage, and it's interrupted when his butt gets scratched with a musical instrument by a man literally named Fiddlesworth.
In the hairstyle.
Some sort of nightmare. It's like the universe is taunting me, and here's just the thing. It keeps going. The second film's entire climax is literally the fairy godmother, esteemed member of the Feet, piquing her evil plans with a musical number. Honestly, why?
The best musical number in Shrek history, by the way. Shrek 2, I Need a Hero. Fucking best version of the song ever, by the way. Like, hands down, this moment in Shrek 2, fucking banger-ass song, and it makes it even better when you take into the fact of all the theories that we on before, that she's part of this French-established exterminator terminator cult who works through song, and she I can't even think of the words. And she details her plans through song. And by the way, a song that is now, like, well known as the Shrek 2 song. You have All-Star being Shrek 1. This is the Shrek 2 song, so...
is is this happening to me? A whole entire orchestra appears behind her as she sings into her magic wand and rolls across a piano.
I need a hero!
Magical, misotheric
I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night.
Watching, so I descended into the comments section of part 21 and immediately found a comment from user Isabella de...
Hey Theorizer, did you notice that in Shrek the Third, when Prince Charming captures Shrek and the others, the way he chooses to kill them is doing a musical he wrote him... Please. 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 I beg you. Stop this madness at once. Please. Stop this madness at once. I beg of you. Let me live. Jesus Christ.
Danelle, who highlighted the fact that Shrek 3 ends in almost the exact same way, when the godmother's son, Prince Charming, sings out an entire musical play in which he will publicly execute Shrek, the intelligent beast, the target of the organization.
Yeah.
Charming's whole life has been musical and dramatic. He even defaulted to theater after his mother died, which makes sense given everything I've been saying. So then I decided to go in and take a closer look for myself, and I damn near fainted when I realized what was really happening. If you know anything about classical music, then you probably know of the very famous song Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. This is what Charming sings half of his musical to. If you couldn't tell already, this is the missing link. Danse Macabre is French. Care to guess what the...
I knew that it was a French word, but does it mean death? Is it something about death? Because if it's something about death, then I'm gonna fucking lose it.
Song's about, it notoriously means dance of
I'm done. I'm done. I am... Death, you say? Death, you say? Huh? Death, you say? But you know what else has death in it? Just guess. Just take a wild guess at what else is French and is death. You guessed it! Mort! Fucking losing it! My brain. I'm damn near gonna faint just like the Theorizer did. No, this is not me acting. I'm literally just on the verge of having a psychotic break now. I'm on the verge of fucking losing it, dude. I'm fucking losing it. I'm losing it, dude.
Death. It famously details the Grim Reaper resurrecting the dead so they can...
Grim Reaper? Really?
...dance on their own graves. They had thousands of songs to choose from for the big moment.
They only chose that one.
The human kills the beast rising to power, and they chose this one.
Yes.
This song about Mort. If you're not acknowledging the musical cult at this point, I don't know.
The musical cult's real. Like, we knew from the beginning that the musical cult is a real thing. Because we've seen it in part 21, that there's all these connections to a musical cult and stuff. We know that the musical cult is real. Oh. And we know that it exists. Like, we know of its existence. How are people not getting that it exists? This video proves If you didn't believe it before, this video literally proves that there is a musical cult that is actually also the French established exterminator Terminators. Yeah.
I'll tell you. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Here's some more evidence. Shrek 3 did a lot of things and played a critical role in my original discovery of the music cult, so I kept looking. It dawned on me that I'd been ignoring Captain Hook up until this point. What caught my eye again...
Oh yeah, Captain Hook is the one that plays the piano, right? I keep forgetting the Captain Hook's in the Shrek movies, and there's a piano player. Piano, song, feet, musical cult. Hello, he's part of the musical cult too!
And it was that pesky hairstyle, but that's not what I'm here for today, no. I'm here to expose him for his more significant ties to the cult, because he's always playing that piano.
Yeah!
Always, always, always. This surprised me, but what really got me was when they roll it all the way out into the wilderness just for their fight with Shrek.
What?
Why do they do this? What a waste of time and resources.
Unless
it's truly important. And here's just the thing. The instant they roll it out, Donkey screams, "Look out! They've got a piano!"
I can't do this, dude. I can't fucking do this. I'm just gonna play it before I go to say it again.
Absolute terror on his face. Donkey knows about the cult somehow, on some level, in some way. I mean, let's see. First of all, he's one of the main intelligent animals in the Shrek films, so much so that he was the big introduction to the concept when they were all surprised he could talk. He's also constantly doing what? Singing.
Yeah.
Just walking around, singing to himself. When Shrek asked for Farquaad's location, Donkey was one of the only characters to know the answer, let alone say it. And Farquaad, of course, is a critical footman. So now you're seeing why I included my Donkey theory.
Yeah, because Donkey knows a lot about... This means that Donkey knows a lot about the musical clan, then. The musical cult, the footmen, whatever they call it. He knows a lot about them. Safe to say that he must have had, like, a first-hand experience with the footmen. Somehow, some way, you know? Which is a good thing that he included the Donkey theories, because, I mean, didn't seem like they were going to be important back then, but now it's apparent that they play a part.
He has a number of horrific stories about his past, and I wonder if he was bred as sacrificial food or something, but more of that stuff in part 23. Tying this back around, we can reasonably assume that it would connect to Captain Hook and his piano as well.
Yeah.
And take a wild guess. Who hijacks the piano mid-song during the battle? Merlin, one of the main magicians I deemed responsible for the musical cult's existence. Then, when Shrek blows up the piano with his cannon, what happens? All of the enemies freeze, panic, and then run away as fast as they can. The music, their connection to the gods, their upper hand has been severed. The music stops, and they're gone.
It's like they're tied to the music. Isn't that what it is? Like, the footmen are tied to this form of musical meme stuff here. And when the music stops is when they feel vulnerable. So they have to retreat as fast as possible. Because if music is not playing, they aren't powerful. They have no power until music starts playing. That's like the only thing that I can think of that makes logical sense with whatever he's saying here.
The music serves as a link, but more on that too in part 23. Because are you satisfied with the music cult yet?
Yeah.
Well, I was still hungry for more. And you know, this scene really did get me thinking about pianos, so I hopped back over to that final scene from Shrek 2 one last time when the godmother's rolling across her piano.
No. Do we ever see the person playing the piano? Please. If you fucking say that the piano player is Captain Hook.
And I felt like something important was going on when she tells her pianist, Kyle, C minor, put it in C minor.
No,
she says
it's not.
it right before her performance because the film has made a point of her being musically aware.
Yeah.
Quite interestingly, Kyle proceeds to put it in G minor, which is how she ends up singing I Need a Hero. And so I did ask on Twitter if any of you could tell me whether Hook's songs were in either C or G minor, and it seems like some of them, namely the battle scene, are, but that's more coincidental than anything. Less coincidental, though, is the fact that Danse Macabre is in G minor, and it also was a climax song, but I digress. Do with that what you will. Now, by returning to the Shrek 2 climax, more than anything, I was interested in what she's actually saying in her song. They chose an interesting song
I Need
for this
Hero.
climax, considering it was almost begging for Shrek to come dashing in, and they have a track record of phenomenally specific songs like Accidentally in Love, so I examined the lyrics and found parallels that intimately describe exactly the sorts of things I've been saying. Sky God parallels. The most important lyrics include, where are all the gods? Somewhere just beyond my reach, there's someone reaching back for me, racing on the thunder and rising with the heat.
What?
Out where the mountains meet the heavens above, out where the lightning splits the sea, I could swear there is someone somewhere watching me. Through the wind and the chill and the rain and the storm and the flood. And this is
You mean to tell me they chose I Need a Hero because of the stark lyrical connections to the sky gods? It's official. I'm losing my damn mind. I'm going insane. And DreamWorks is doing this on purpose.
all too suspicious, and I'm terrified. If this still isn't enough. Well, the first two films both end with musical numbers.
Yeah.
I'm a Believer and Living La Vida Loca. There's also bonus features on the DVDs, with the first film having a whole karaoke party, and the second film having it too, in the form of a singing competition in which Simon Cowell arrives and judges the main cast. Are you kidding? I mean, I don't think it's literally Simon Cowell, but it's most certainly some sort of musical judge from far, far away, and it is in fact voiced by Simon Cowell, and they call him Simon. The canonicity of these aren't to be dismissed either, as they even bridge gaps between both Charming and Doris's character arcs of the second and third films. Still, it's not linchpin evidence, keep that in mind. It is support for the overwhelming rest of the evidence. And by now, it should be clear. This cult is real. Their music is real. Their goal is serious. They hate intelligent beasts. I say beast because the word choice could theoretically include all animals and fairy tale creatures or monsters. The point is, organic, non-human intelligence. Robin Hood uses such words as well when he says foul beast, and so does Prince Charming and half of the Shrek cast, including people like Rumpelstiltskin, where he claims the Pied Piper's music will soothe the savage beast, which finally transitions us out of this musical madness and into the next phase of evidence. If you haven't guessed by now, the Shrek films are far more critical than you can possibly imagine, and Rumpelstiltskin is where we'll start with the next chunk of this. We established way back in my fairy godmother theories, somewhere around part 8 of all this madness, that Rumpelstiltskin's plans involved everything the fairy godmother had plotted, and that the fairy godmother's plans included everything that Lord Farquaad had plotted. Rumpelstiltskin's at the top of this hierarchy. Not all members of this organization have the same goal. Remember, there's lots of overlap in goals and tactics and communication, but I almost referred to this organization as a freelance one because the Sky Gods manipulate and bend and twist and lie to this disorganized organization so long as their goals are met. The biggest manipulation tactic they use is, of course, the hatred of animals, which persuades many humans, but not all. In fact, their target is Mort, and they can often achieve that without the help of humans, and sometimes even with the help of animals. This is important, and with that said, Rumpelstiltskin is probably the closest to the Feet organization, giving him being at the top of the manipulation chain. They're all footmen in their own right, but Rumpel's quite interesting and worth more of a delve. When his evil plans engage, so too does the creepy lightning, which, plot twist, could very well be courtesy of the Sky Gods. And here he proceeds to hyperventilate as Shrek signs his contract, and I kid you not, his actual feet rip through his shoes and dig into the ground. I was already in a panicked state.
Why?
I hadn't realized I'd turned the audio into French when I was watching, so when he started saying sign and it sounded like sing, I nearly fell out of my chair. An important thing to note about Rumpelstiltskin is that he's more of a magical creature than a human. We established aliens and other creatures as wild cards in the eyes of the organization, and thus they can go either way. This is why I made that point about the Sky God's goals and how things aren't exactly black and white. Rumpel, though, he's quite clearly a member of Feet. First of all, he hires the Pied Piper, and he himself laughs about musical manipulation, which is something he seems interested by, to the point where he sets up a dam.
At this point, they're all a part of the fucking Feet clan. The Foot cult, you know? They're all fucking footmen at this point. Everyone's fucking footmen at this point, you know? Like, you turn into another movie, footmen influence going on there. You know, we can't escape it. We can't fucking escape it. No one can fucking escape the Feetmen. No. I feel like I'm losing it. And I already have lost it. But I feel like I'm losing it again. Dear God.
Nightclub in his castle. There's also the big one, which is that he has, well, red hair. As you may notice, this is one of the smaller connections, but it's made much larger when the film makes a huge point about his hair when he gets a fiery wig.
Yeah.
Quite reminiscent of Devil Dubois. He also makes devil deal contracts that transcend universes, but honestly that's more like Mort than anyone.
Yeah.
Yes, if we want to truly highlight Rumpelstiltskin, there needs to be a really big, really interesting plot thread involved. Luckily, I have that video where I dissected Shrek 4's triple timeline, and I think I've found something new. In Shrek 4, Rumpel planned out a massive scheme in which he tricked Shrek and bent space-time to his will.
Yep.
This film is one of the only other times that the multiverse becomes a critical focal point, aside from All Hail King Julian. This is different, though, because what again was the result of this Shrek 4 parallel universe? Well, it was apocalyptic. Animals enslaved, ogres hunted, Rumpel in charge, everything destroyed in favor of dystopian control and order. This is, generally speaking, the sort of devastated world that would likely result from trying to get a grip on things like animal intelligence, to hold back something that advanced, just to get enough time to split Mort yet again. It's a dystopia. Mort is chaos, but this is too much order. It's a dictatorship that doesn't care about, well, much of anything at all. It's one of many Feet endgames, and a lot had to happen to get it to work. Rumpel's scheme alone wasn't enough. On its own, he needed Shrek's willing participation. It was a miracle that it all played out, and I mean that literally. Let me explain. Shrek went back to Far, Far Away following months of boring, dull repetition in his life. It was almost the exact same day, repeated over and over and over again. This was the catalyst for the rest of Shrek 4, and it drove Shrek nearly insane. This is all a reference to the oft mundanity of family life, except it's more than that. At the very, very, very beginning of the film, Shrek is fine. He's already been doing this for ages, but it's only when the film starts that he begins losing his mind, or more specifically, after that first day. So darn it, I delved and rewatched that entire first day. I thought I couldn't find anything, and then my jaw almost dropped off of my skull. It was the Sky Gods that did this.
So, what did you wish for?
That every day could be like this one.
What?
No! It wasn't just a shooting star making a wish, it was the fucking Sky Gods here. And saying, yeah. She wants to say to be like every other day, yeah, we're gonna do, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, put the plan in motion. Well, yup, fucking do this. Ooh, I'm fucking losing it again. Oh, my brain's melting out of my ears and I'm fucking losing it.
What in the f***? The Sky Gods literalized his wife's wish in simultaneity with Rumpel's cold open vengeance scheme and put Shrek in a vague looping hell state. So
they knew that Rumpel's plan, so they were like, they just wanted an excuse to do it. They were like, we need to enact this plan How do we do it? Fiona comes in saying, I wish that every day was like the other. Oh, yep, there we go. There's a way to enact this plan. Fucking do it. It pains me, but it also makes perfect sense, and Y'all have never seen a reaction like this before. Out of the one reaction that I've seen, which is Chris Wilson's. By the way, Chris Wilson's also really good. I've been watching his reactions after I watched these videos. They're fucking awesome. He's a fucking cool dude. But it's tiring. It's just very tiring.
So he'd cave at the slightest provocation and bootstrap the apocalypse. Ogre for a day, my ass.
How's that for a metaphysical paradox?
Alright, so we've seen some good evidence and flimsy evidence, but all interesting points nonetheless, and it just begs the question, how much of the Shrek films are a conspiracy? When I told you they were important, I wasn't lying. They're almost as crucial as Madagascar is. It's like, in this time period, the sky gods are desperate and in full effect. We already know of some smaller manipulations, like how the fairy godmother actually wanted Shrek to save Fiona, but what else could there be? I often lay awake at night, asking myself, how did Shrek have Fiona's fairy tale book all the way out in his swamp? And he did, by the way. It wasn't just for kicks in the intro, because later he references it when in the Dragon's Keep. I've even asked myself about how Charming knew the appearance of Shrek's swamp so he could involve it in his musical. Does it have something to do with that moment when Reggie and the trumpeters sort of just waddled behind Shrek's house at the beginning of the second film? One time I even questioned the largest of these possible manipulations. How did Arthur's classmates know to play All-Star? Yes, if you recall from the Reggie theory, the band plays All-Star when Shrek enters the school, but how? How do they know to do this? Conspiracies everywhere, I'm telling you. For this video, I decided there was one relevant enough to the Feet cult to warrant an entire section, and that would be on the matter of King Harold. You may remember when I absurdly claimed that Reggie assassinated the king back in, what was it, part 12? Well, I've come to the understanding that he might not have, but someone he's affiliated with most certainly did, unintentionally or not. You see, King Harold was turned from a frog into a human by the fairy godmother's magic. He turned back when she died, and it probably didn't help that he was slammed with her energy blast. His transformation and reverse transformation are, as I understand it, a magical manipulation that is not permitted. He's changing states, and one might argue, changing sides, using the magic that the fairy godmother funnels from the sky gods themselves. This is a disrespect of the highest order, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't the godmother's magic that killed her, but rather the sky gods snapping their tether and thus annihilating her for her failure. Harold goes differently. Without the magical connection, he slowly withers away as an impossibly old frog, unless of course they sped up the process by having someone like Prince Charming kill him with poison. There are no accidents, to quote a possible warlord. And as these other intelligent frogs literally sing, live or let die. Hashtag in before the Mort. Charming, you see. He watches this funeral from a distance, and considering his plans with Rapunzel must have spanned a significant amount of time that we never got to see, it means Charming could have already been working on this prior to his declaration of vengeance, but this is all speculation. There's one massive connection King Harold has, one critical link so shocking and bizarre that I'm not sure what to make of it. It could be nothing, or it could be everything, so pay attention. Chantal Dubois, one of the most famous footmen around, the definition of an exterminator-terminator. I showed Chantal Dubois so many times in part 21, here, there, everywhere, and I somehow missed the obvious. Pineapple is literally on her.
Direct correlation to the sky gods. Yep. I don't have it in me to freak out again. That one at the beginning was way too powerful.
She never once removes this hat in the time we get to see her, and I can't believe I missed this, but the commenters certainly did, and a few people have brought it to my attention now. She bears the symbol of her leaders. Here's just the thing. I know this is flimsy, but it's not nearly as flimsy as you think it is. I want to clarify that this is not a fleur-de-lis. But if it were, it would also be evidence, and here's why. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I hadn't realized it either until commenter Red Panda Boy pointed it out, but Prince Charming's main outfit is covered in fleur-de-lis symbology. Real fleur-de-lis symbology. You can find them frequently in DreamWorks, but mostly in the Shrek films around Far, Far Away. This is noteworthy because what is a fleur-de-lis? Well, it's a very famous symbol. That is French.
Yeah.
There's more, so prepare yourself. This famous French symbol is largely on medieval French things, most notably the flag itself.
Yeah.
It bears a mild resemblance to pineapple, which I guess would make sense if the sky gods are tied to France. And I already rewrote real-life Madagascarian history in part 21, so... But again, its resemblance to pineapple is really mild. The symbol on Dubois' hat, if not pineapple, is instead maybe a sort of parodied cross between a pineapple and a fleur-de-lis, which would only help my case yet further. So what does the fleur-de-lis represent exactly? Here's the mind screw. It represents a lily. This realization hit me funny, and then I realized why. King Harold, as a frog, claimed to have lived in a lily pond before marrying his wife, Queen Lillian. Is there any tie between him and the physical symbol, though?
Yeah.
Yes. I scanned as hard as I could, and then I finally realized that it was right under my nose the entire time. His crown is covered in iterated fleur-de-lis symbols that are modified into a parodied pineapple shape. Again, have I lost it?
I've lost it. I fucking lost
it. There's something here, somewhere here. The dilemma is that you theoretically could construe this one in many ways, but the fact of the matter is that if it is construed as valuable evidence, it would be the single best evidence yet. Both of these notions cancel out, however, and thus I see this as more or less just another pin in the corkboard. Nothing overly special because of the possibility of it literally being nothing, but I can't dismiss it either because the context of this is critical. You see, this crown is worn by the kings of Far, Far Away, as we see both Charming and Arthur wear it following Harold's death. This means it was worn by those terrifying previous royals I blabbed on about in the Fairy Godmother videos, and thus that whatever this intends to represent would be theirs. This could imply a number of shocking things, such as a schism in the feet, considering the Fairy Godmother was a part of it too, but this will, as with many things, be reserved for the logic segments of this massive theory, where I will fill the vastly numerous holes I've created for myself by finding all these connections. Alright, back to the main video. To put all of this King Harold stuff simply, the Sky Gods were somehow involved in his death, intentionally or not. Charming then took his rightful place, but was of course killed by his own musical prop in the climax of film 3. I would like to finally note here that the Sky Gods have supernatural life extension in full swing during all of this. Charming stares up at the falling tower and questions, "Mummy?" before being crushed to death. It's my understanding that he literally saw her as he was seconds from death and is a footman. If you recall the very ending of part 21, I brought up the matter of Farquaad's ghost and how he too was granted life extension.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Mort, and it's the Sky God's ace up their sleeve. I've realized since then that he truly seemed to believe that if he killed Fiona, she'd want to become his queen of the underworld. He wasn't exaggerating. This only pans out if he somehow has control of her spirits, which is even more proof that something's going on, because why would his ghost be all that special? Finally, look at the way Farquaad is destroyed. Dragon blasts his soul into a dozen smaller spirits.
Same with Mort.
This isn't word for word how I described Mort. That is, largely all of the Shrek evidence. Now, give me a few days to get out the rest of this insanity, because we've only covered the first half of my findings where I clumped together everything to do with Shrek. The remainder is far more shocking and better. I will not be long. Keep checking. There's going to be another even longer second half coming extremely soon, within days. I guess that would make it part 23 then. Good grief. Sorry about the absence of Mort in this part, but I more than make up for it in the rest of the findings. Until a few days from now, I'm the Theorizer.
I damn near passed out with this one. I damn near fainted, and I'm emotionally, physically, and metaphorically exhausted with what is being shown and what is happening. I need a couple days to cool off before we get to part 23, which is the... In the next video, we tackle part 23, but until then, I am Battle 24, and stay sane. Uh.